Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get started in just a minute. No, I did not announce this one. It's kind of impromptu. A lot of reasons, but I thought I better do it before the weekend. So if you'll give me just another minute to make sure that YouTube catches up, and it looks like they have, so I'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is February 9th, 2018. I'm Roy Potter, and this is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. And the world's going nuts, so there's just no doubt about it. But I'm going to concentrate on just a few things this morning that have occurred that I just need to bring up. This is going to be fairly quick. Of course, I always say that. And it's going to touch on a number of subjects. As you can see from the title, the Vegas Massacre, former president, I should say ex-president, I think that fits better, ex-president G.W. Bush, George W., and other morning concerns that I have today. I know there are a lot of people out there doing their live broadcasts this morning, their live streams, but I figure if anybody's interested, they can come and take a look at what we're saying here. Yesterday I gave that presentation on, well, basically the bad actors in government and them choosing their paychecks and their pensions over principle. And you can extend that also to the entire New World Order, actually, and all the people that are supporting it. And one thing I didn't do yesterday because I thought it might be a little too sensational, I'm going to do it right now, and the people that need to know this will know what it is. Those who have studied the Old Testament will know what it is. But I just want to say this to those who are seeking the destruction of the perfect law of liberty, the Constitutional Republic of the United States, the liberty of the American people, and in general the destruction of mankind, because you're not going to win in the long run, even though it looks like in many cases you will. So I'm going to say this, no sensationalism yesterday, but I wanted to say it here this morning. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. And those of you in the New World Order who know what that is, that's for you. And for those who are in the New World Order or into these federal agencies, defying their oath of office and seeking the destruction of the American people and the perfect law of liberty and all that we're supposed to stand for, if you don't know what that is, you need to go find out, because that is in the process at this point. Having said that, okay, ex-President Bush came out and basically lambasted President Trump, and I think most of you know about that. If anybody in the world should keep his effing mouth shut, it's George W. Bush. That crime cartel family that came over here, they're basically Germans, and they helped to fund Hitler and of course everything else, and they took a lot of the money from along with Juncker, who established Luxembourg. I think most of you know the history. If not, I'm just going through it real quick. The Bush family are criminals, and I'm just going to say that outright here. And what this Bushwhacker did. Bushwhack, by the way, kind of means an ambush. Not that he did an actual ambush in the sense that we all know the scumbag that he is, and if you don't know, you should. Back in 2011 or 12, someone there, I was with someone who was doing a trade show in, I think it's the National Farm Bureau show or something. It's south of Fresno. I don't remember the exact name of the town. But at any rate, ex-President Bush was speaking at that, and this person was all enthralled and wanted to go see George W. Bush, that he's a hero. And I was frankly totally disgusted at the ignorance of this person, not knowing what this ex-president, even at that time, had been responsible for. But because Obama was in office, and there's the party thing, it's always the party. And so it was a Republican probably worship ceremony more than anything else. And all of you should know that I'm not, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. I'm for whoever stands up for their oath of office for the Constitution of the United States in actuality, not in words only. So at any rate, now to see him come out and do this, I hope that those people that held him in such high esteem now realize what a POS he really is. And I think he's mentally infirm too. They talk about, they want to accuse Trump of that, but it's real obvious that GW is. Anyway, so he came out and he basically lambasted Trump, and I don't even know what to say. It was just totally ridiculous that this actor who couldn't lead, and I'm going to be real. Actually, no, he couldn't even lead a young group of Girl Scouts across the street. I'm just not going to be PC. I'm just going to say it that way. He couldn't even do that, and he proved it. And now he wants to assail and attack President Trump. Anyway, go look it up if you want to know details. I just think he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's probably being controlled. I think he's a mental midget. And there's another problem with a politically correct term. Mentally challenged, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. But I wanted to bring that up. It just proves who is for the Constitutional Republic of the United States and who isn't over all these years. Okay, we avoided a government shutdown last night again, but I wanted to bring up the fact that Rand Paul gave an excellent speech, and it goes to what I just said. This thing between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are always, we got to cut spending. The Democrats are always saying we got to increase it. But whenever they get control of the Congress, the spending always goes up. And so here we go again. Now, understandably, President Trump is trying to salvage the economy. I understand that. And I'm not a businessman. I've said many times I'm not a financial guy. But I know personally, if I overextend my credit, I get in trouble. I can't imagine a government not having the same problem. So I have some questions again about the way things are being done. But I guess we just have to have a wait and see attitude. But Rand Paul definitely brought up this problem with the Republicans always, as soon as they get control, they do the same things the Democrats do. That's essentially what he was saying. If you want to go see what he said, just Google it. Rand Paul addresses the Congress yesterday about this whole issue. So it's very disappointing to me that I see Trump as president, and yet the different areas of government continue in their old ways. And I realize that things can't be done immediately. I know that. But as True Pundit said yesterday on this whole, unveiling of Uranium One and the coup and all of this, and I do use four-letter words when I get upset. I won't do it this time. But True Pundit did. And basically he said, F asterisk asterisk asterisk. Why aren't there any indictments? And that's true. And it's like I said, everyone who's complained or who's covered for Sessions and for Wray and all of this, it's really past time now. We should start seeing some people being brought in. I'm not saying it's time for Hillary yet. I realize that's going to have to take some real cultivation amongst the idiot voters out there, the idiot Americans who don't understand history or what's happening to them. And of course, that's not all of them. But at this point in time, it's definitely a problem. So I can understand holding back on Hillary at this point, even though I personally think if I was investigating, I'd arrest her butt right now. But at any rate, we know that she's at the center of the cabal. She's their little honeypot. No, she's not a honeypot. She's their queen, and they're going to protect her because she stands for everything that they are. So I can understand putting that off until more information can be made available on that. But there's no reason that people like Clapper and Brennan and Comey and Podesta, and we could go down a whole list right there. Eric Holder, Lynch, a lot of those people should be in cuffs right now. And I'll say it again, okay? And I've said it many, many times. I support Donald Trump. If you don't know that, you're not paying attention. But what are we holding off for? What is the delay? What is the postponement? What is it? Now, Monograph, I know you don't probably want to hear me bring up Monty. A lot of you like him. A lot of you are suspicious of him. I think I probably know him better than most of you. He's been attacked relentlessly for some video productions he did years ago to show the problems of certain lifestyles. And he's been viciously attacked. He's had false witness borne against him, which is very unchristian-like. And in the old days, you could be stoned for such activity because it's basically a form of murder. But at any rate, he says that everything that's going on is distracting us from the panopticon that's being built to finally lower the boom on all of us. And that goes along with the 5G, the immunizations, the vaccines, the chips, the surveillance system, the nanoparticles that we all are breathing in and eating at this point. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot disagree with Monty's analysis. I can't. I'm not saying again that Trump can do everything at once, and I realize there are problems here, and things are happening. I'm not saying they're not. But until, and as you remember, I had two canaries in the coal mine. The Bundys being released, which happened, and now finally because of all the criminal activity on the part of the DOJ and the FBI and the BLM and others, including the LVMPD, which is probably the most corrupt police department in the country. I used to think it was DC, but I think it's LVMPD now. At any rate, with all the criminal things that those three-letter agencies did, there should be people in those agencies arrested, including the people in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Oregon over the Hammond deal, the FBI agent in charge there, Breitzig, and I've talked about all this before, and I know this is old information, but it's just out of control. But at least at this point, the DOJ says, the prosecutors in the Bundy case say that they've dropped all charges against the Bundys. 2 years too late. It should never have happened in the first place. The investigation by the FBI and the DOJ should have been against Hillary Clinton, and they don't think they didn't uncover this information on Uranium One and on the Chinese espionage. They definitely did. But as True Pundit pointed out, the purpose of the investigation was, number one, to protect Hillary Clinton and to bury the evidence that might be of a culpable type of evidence to prove her culpability. Man, I can't talk this morning. Let me have a little more coffee. I've got a big day ahead, and I didn't sleep again last night. That can prove her culpability beyond a reasonable doubt. They buried that. And then they went after the land of the Bundys. And I know all of you know all that. But that kind of criminal behavior, I want to know why Myrie, the U.S. attorney in Las Vegas, isn't in jail right now. Or Breitzig in Oregon, the FBI agent in charge. Now, we're going to come after Rouse, too, here in a minute. He's the FBI agent in charge in Las Vegas. Okay. So you can't clean out the swamp unless you start collaring some of these people. I know we've had resignations and indictments are supposedly on the way or already there. Well, that second canary in the coal mine is to start seeing primarily Hillary Clinton, but some of these underlings being collared, and I'm not seeing it. So, Monty's being skeptical, and healthy skepticism is what Americans should be about, not blind followers, right? Blind followers are what got us here in the first place. And I don't care who's there. Remember, it's principle, not personality. So I'm calling on President Trump to make, and I don't know where Sessions is. And I know that they want to now, appoint another special prosecutor. And you know what the problem with that is Here we go through all this machinations again for how many months or years? The House does all of these investigations. There's plenty of information there. Where the hell is Jeff Sessions? There should be indictments and arrests right now for everything from a coup to sedition, even treason. All of the things that were listed in the presidential executive order there on the, I think, what was that, the 21st of December? You know, all of that should be happening in a massive effort right now. And we're getting to the point where, you know, if something does happen to the economy, I mean, the Dow has dropped how many times now and how much in the last week, last few days? They're going to get Trump on the economy because he's used the stock market to prove how great of a businessman he is for the country. And I don't disagree with that. And like I said the other day, they dropped the stock market, that remember 666, and then it was 1,175 points, and then some more. And I said, you know, they're making a grandiose claim here. Well, we'll see if they can bring it out, pull it off. But are they really? Are they really? Yeah. If Trump doesn't act, it's like I said a year ago. You have to go after the bad actors. You can't play this game anymore. So, yeah, the second canary in the coal mine is we got to see some of these people, and eventually Hillary Clinton collared, and we're not seeing much of that right now. Rosenstein right now should be in a jail somewhere. Yeah, I'm a little upset. That's why I had to come on impromptu this morning, and I'm sorry I'm stumbling around a little bit. Like I said, I've got a lot to do today, and I should be focusing on what I'm saying and not worrying about taking care of some of that. Okay, I'll get off of that horse. Let's get on another one. Let's talk about Syria. And here we go again. President Trump ran on getting out of regime change, foreign affairs that are contrary to our interests. And what are our interests? Well, they certainly aren't the poppy fields in Afghanistan for the CIA. He went and bombed the CIA opium labs. Okay, but we're still surrounding Russia. We're still and that was another campaign promise. Oh, we're going to have better relations with Russia. I realize the power of the deep state and the intelligence community and all the other things that are in the mix here. And it might be a chess game, but overt aggression is just going too far. It's bending down. It's bending over for the military-industrial complex, the military, intelligence, security, industrial complex. And I'm just getting a little irritated about it with this latest thing in Syria. And somebody called me on it the other day and said, why haven't you talked about this while you're being distracted by Q and all this? This is going on in Syria. No, I wasn't distracted. You know, when we get this information, we don't have direct intelligence information that would really help us to give a good estimate of the situation. I have to digest it. I have to look at it a little bit before I just blurt it out. So for that person who wanted to know why I wasn't looking at it, that's the reason why. My gut feeling from everything that I can tell from this is another CIA false flag, blaming a Russian group of mercenaries for attacking American forces that kicked this whole thing off, with then the military forces of the United States striking the Assad regime and killing Syrians and Russians. I smell it. It's like the Vegas thing. It's just so similar. It's just crazy. I think that this blaming the Russian... Do you realize how the Russian military works? They're still, I mean, they still kill troops in training. Do you understand that? They're not somebody to mess around with. They don't let women on the front lines, okay? They don't let gays in. Yes, I'm going to say it. They're a badass army, a badass military. You really think... And Vladimir Putin, the type of leader he is, you really think that they're going to allow some Russian contractors to go on this mission? Those contractors were either double agents or CIA posing as Russian contractors or something of that ilk. We might have technology on them, but that's not a what did King Arthur say? might, not might is right, but might for right. We've got some, our leaders up and down the chain of command have some twisted idea of what right is. So what am I saying about the Syrian situation? I think it's a setup. I think it's another form of a false flag. That's what I think. So no, I'm not ignoring it. Okay, Pam Jones will like this one. It's in Drudge this morning. It's an article that says, study finds don't look up, an astonishing number of viruses float down on us from the sky. Well, isn't that convenient? This study purports that, and it's in a magazine called, let me pull it up for you. I should quote it. It's by Ben Renner in this article, and I should give him credit, even though I think he didn't dig very far, which is really kind of sad. But it's typical of so-called journalists these days. You know, they only say what they're fed to say, and I think that's what happened in this case. I thought I wrote the name of the article down here, but I didn't. But it's on Drudge. And, okay, so here it is here. If I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Whoa, no, no, he's changed it now, so it's not on the front line. All right, I'm sorry. Now it's something about a cold sun. Well, I thought we were heating up. You see all this contrary information? Anyway, getting back on this. So this article basically says that viruses are floating down from the sky from one continent to another because they're basically just strands of DNA that can survive in a layer between two layers of the atmosphere. Well, isn't it very apropos? Isn't it just interesting that that's the same area where the spraying is taking place? But they don't blame it on the stratospheric aerosol injection. They say that viruses are living in this place, between these two layers of the atmosphere, and floating and then falling down on other areas of the world. No, I don't buy that. You know, I'm not a biologist. I'll admit, people say, "Yeah, you're not a scientist or whatever." Do you see the timing though? Again, this panopticon that's coming around, this whole thing about an epidemic that Monty's talked about, this whole thing about chips, the 5G, the nanotech, and all that, and now we have apparently viruses being sprayed out in this area. And of course, if they're not traveling thousands of miles from, say, China to the United States, but being sprayed directly above us, there's time for it to come down, and it's not time enough for the sun to burn them up, is what I'm saying, if they do it right. So I'm very suspicious of that, and I think that there's something to the fact that that's actually from the chemtrails, the stratospheric aerosol injection, and this whole thing that's coming. Does Trump know about stratospheric aerosol injection? Does he? There was a picture of him being inside, I think it was a U.S. Air Force jet, seeing the tanks. Is he still supporting that? Like he's still supporting, unfettered surveillance? I said that I support Trump in his righteous endeavors, but I'm going to put his feet to the fire when I see things that aren't right. And I can't disagree again with Monty. And I'm not saying these things that Q is talking about and all of the rest of us are talking about with, the guilty people in government isn't important. It is. But are we being distracted so much that the chains are being lowered? I'm sorry, the chains are being made stronger and heavier all of the time. Skepticism is what America should be about. Vigilance, constant situational awareness. And these things concern me greatly. Trump isn't a Superman. but I'm not certain that he has dedicated people around him that can solve these problems. It was like the situation with that memo that Rosenstein took to him and had him sign to change the power structure in the DOJ to knock off the internal affairs people so they couldn't watch what the criminals in the DOJ were doing. Just things like that. You know, I've got to give Trump some time because there is a learning curve. I said that, but it doesn't help when you have people in there who are deliberately sabotaging you. So I see some real problems here in the very, very near future. And this thing in Syria is actually an indication. Okay, I've got to jump ahead. And I'm sorry I'm not answering anybody's questions here, but like I say, it's kind of impromptu. Maybe I'll get to that. I have to leave before too long. I'm very concerned about Jake Morphonios of Blackstone Intelligence. Jake, along with Shepard Ambulus of IntelliHub, have done some incredible work following up on the Vegas shooting, where a lot of the rest of us didn't really drop off of it, but so many things are happening. We're trying to keep track. And yes, I did say that, our lane should be Vegas because so many things are based upon what's happened there. But you need to go to Blackstone Intelligence that's Jake Morphonios' site on YouTube, and see some of his recent posts about what he has uncovered. The FBI wants to speak to him. Fortunately, as many of us warned him about, and I'm sure he knew anyways, he's a very intelligent guy, very capable. The FBI wanted to come to his home and see the recording of this German lady that called up asking him to help with some finances, which he understood was a setup. And then he found out, of course, the FBI was already watching this lady. Then why would and he knows that they've tapped his phone, so why do they want to come and get this recording? Well, they want to get inside his house. So fortunately, his attorneys told him not to do that, and that was a wise decision, Jake. Thank you. You know how these criminals in the FBI, they can't find real criminals. They have to do parallel construction and then invent a crime that was committed when none was intended. Oh, but Hillary Clinton didn't intend to break the laws on classified documents, right? She didn't intend it. Well, that's one statute that doesn't require intent. It only requires gross negligence. Gah. That's why I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust any federal law enforcement agencies. I can't even trust most local ones anymore. They're all about looking like they're heroes when they're nothing but a bunch of criminals. I'm really on one today. So, Jake Morphonios found out during his investigation, I think this is the crux of the matter why the FBI is concerned. They've been trying to cover up things about the shooting in Vegas. They deliberately obfuscated the evidence that they present to the public. They hide it. They misrepresented it. They constantly change their stories. Lombardo is an ass, and I'm going to tell him that again. He's probably a criminal as well. I mean, he's there, LVMPD, as Jake Morphonios pointed out. Well, actually, it wasn't Jake Morphonios. It was Shepard Ambulus. It's in an IntelliHub article. It was written on yesterday, February 8, 2018, by Shepard Ambulus. It's entitled, "Man Claims Grandfather Witnessed 3 Military Helicopters Firing from Different Positions on the Night of 1 October Massacre." Now, I still have a problem with helicopters shooting. I'm not going to go into that here as to why I believe that's the situation. I'm not convinced that helicopters were shooting at anybody. Could have been, but tactically it doesn't make much sense because of the circumstances. But that's a whole nother argument. Where I'm going with this is that Shepard Ambulus brought up this guy who saw these 3 helicopters. And what this guy said was what I wanted to bring up. This is what he said. He says this witness, and he doesn't mention me, protects his source. He says this witness says that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is, in fact, part of the deep state. That should not surprise anybody. It sure didn't surprise me. I figured that for a long time. So, The entire Vegas shooting is still another thing that Trump isn't able to uncover. Why? If people like Jake Morphonios can do it, and Shepard Ambulance, and lowly people like Roy Potter and Scott Anthony and Monograph and others, there are plenty of people that have looked at this. Those are the ones that just come into mind. Why hasn't this thing been resolved? Jake Morphonios, getting back to him, he is convinced. I'm not saying that the Saudi thing isn't still a connection. It definitely is. This was a multifaceted intelligence community operation. And when I say intelligence community, I'm talking about also the ATF. I'm also talking about the DEA. There are a lot of things that are mixed into this thing. I don't trust anything in the federal government anymore. Zero. It looks like that Paddock was in fact a gun runner for the FBI or the CIA, a drug runner for SAME, and certainly into child and human trafficking. But the evidence, there isn't much evidence on that, although some circumstantial things. But on the weapons deals, Morphonios has it nailed down. This is another aspect of Fast and Furious that nobody went to jail for because they carry a federal badge and a gun. No, that should make them more culpable for their activity, for their criminal behavior. Eric Holder. Eric Holder should be in cuffs right now and in a slammer. It's so frustrating. I guess my sense of justice just gets the better of me sometimes. You're going to have to pray for Jake Morphonios, and now you're also going to have to pray for Shepard Ambulance, because these guys have uncovered stuff. Jake Morphonios can't even give it all out. So go to his channel and watch his stuff. I want to give him a shout out. He's an American hero. Few can touch Jake as far as I'm concerned. Okay. I'll stop my rants now. I just had to get those things out. And let me take another sip of this. I'm not drinking enough water, so I shouldn't be drinking coffee, right? I noticed that Lionel of Lionel Nation, I love Lionel. I really do. He and I could have a great conversation if we sat down together. I don't know if that would ever happen. But, Lionel, he's like me. He has a point he wants to make, but as his mind starts working, he starts pulling in all this information, and you wonder, why are you getting off topic? Well, he really isn't. He's gathering all this information. He's kind of like the scooping of the NSA with all the metadata, But he's throwing all this stuff into his head, and sometimes it takes him a while to get to his point. But I enjoy the journey, so I want Lionel to know that. But anyway, I guess he has a coffee mug, which I'm going to order, by the way, for Lionel Nation. It's a big coffee cup. I mean, it probably holds, I'll bet you it holds 16 to 20 ounces. It's a big one. It's probably twice the size of mine here. And, he says they're flying off the shelves. I believe him. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I have a lot of respect for Lionel, too, even though he rambles on a lot like I do. Maybe that's why I like him, because he does that. Okay, I am going to look at the chat room here, if you'll pardon me. Let me make sure everything's still working right. I have had a problem with my microphone, and I might be too loud. If I'm still getting a lot of modulation that's too high, maybe you can let me know. It might be my lack of high-tech equipment. That's probably what it is. But I did just turn the microphone down. I'm sorry if I was yelling in your ear and it sounded kind of scratchy. But the signal looks pretty good. It's not enough to carry a high-quality video on this internet connection, but at least you have some sort of a video to watch. Okay, I'm good. Thank you very much. So is this even better? Probably a little better. Slow the chat down. I have tried to do that time and time again. I saw that James Munder even had a problem with that the other day, that it just didn't want to slow it down. So I'm not certain what's going on there. But anyway, let me just go ahead and look at these. All right. Monty has a great analysis. I agree. And he has been attacked relentlessly and inhumanely and falsely for a long time. I don't blame him for getting mad at these people. He's got to stop them from doing this crap to him. Wow, yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. We won't. We're talking about Nibiru. I'm not a fan of that. Actually, I read Zecharia Sitchin's whole series on those theories back when they first came out. And then I applied, when I got into Hebrew and that study later, and looking into some other ancient languages, I looked at what Sitchin did, and honestly, I don't think he's got it right at all. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to get off topic here. Well, actually, it's your topic, so I guess that's okay, right? Think about this for a minute. Okay, you have a civilization supposedly from a far planet, right? A solar system, galaxy, whatever the heck it is. And they have the ability to travel billions of light years or millions of light years or whatever, technologically superior. They have the ability to somehow have this energy available to them to make these interstellar travels. Think about this, okay? Zecharia Sitchin said the reason why they did that was because their planet was dying because they needed gold to sustain their atmosphere. So they came to Earth, formed mankind out of the apes, genetic manipulation, and then had this slave human race that they developed mine gold for them. Now think about that. In our nuclear reactors right now, we can change the elements from one to another at our level of technology. Do you really think Zecharia Sitchin believed that these advanced beings had to come here for gold? No. He twisted the story to meet the New World Order and the Zionists. I'm just going to say it. That's what they are. They're not true Judahites. They're not true Israelites. They can be Judahites and Israelites, but Zionism is a political movement that has nothing to do with spirituality or religion. It has to do with politics. That's a very calm, nice way of saying it. It's actually a lot more involved than that, and you all have heard me talk about some of that before. One of these days, I hope to dedicate a whole program to that. But at any rate, I've given a hint in the past what the real gold was that they were mining. And I believe that the God seed is spread throughout the universe. I do believe that. And I know there's flat earthers that say this is all there is, and it's, above the firmament there's just this, there's nothing basically. My entire viewpoint is somewhat different than that, and we're not going to go there today either. But the point is that these superior beings were here, and there are good ones and bad ones. I do believe that, because the scriptures talk about it. They were here to mine gold. They came here to mine gold, but it was their own DNA. It was their own offspring that they brought to a place to learn so that this plane here, this earth, is the meeting place between the lower realms and the higher ones, is the way I'm going to explain it. And one person said it very well. They said, those who are good will never get closer to hell than this earth, and those who are bad or evil will never get closer to heaven than this earth. This is basically an interface where this testing takes place. So I have said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't really look at Nibiru the same way all of the rest of these people that study the planet X and all that look at it. I believe that the gold that these people were mining are us. And I've said that before, that we are the gold that God is refining here on this earth. He's mining and refining here. And we have an incredible future if we choose the right thing. If we don't, I'm not saying there's reincarnation, I'm going to tell anybody that, but if we don't, we get thrown back into the machine to get worked on a little bit more. So anyway, that's my viewpoint. I think Sitchin deliberately changed it so that he could support Darwinism in some form or another, which I am totally against, because it, as I've said before, evolution flies in the face of the second law of thermodynamics. Okay. Wow, one question and I went off that far. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? All right, let's see what else we get here. Gold and silver limits evil. That's right. That's why the Constitution said there will be no legal tender but gold and silver. But all of that, again, you see, Congress is always at the heart. I'm not saying that they're the ones that, well, I have to. Congress is always at the heart at subverting the Constitution. They did it with the Federal Reserve Act, changing gold and silver, all of these things. You know, Congress is supposed to be for the people, and they very rarely are. Why haven't they shut down the surveillance of the NSA, especially the FISA, the abuses of the FISA? They've known it since the church hearings. As a matter of fact, the church hearings brought about the FISA courts. And yet Congress doesn't do anything. They sit up there and they complain. I won't name any names. They sit up there and complain, but then they vote for these things to give the government more power. And I heard a commentator the other day say something, and he's absolutely right. He said, actually, it was Lionel Nation. It was Lionel. He said, you know, we keep blaming the FBI agents and the CIA agents and these individuals and these groups of individuals in these different agencies. But in fact, who gave them the ability to abuse the system, to violate the Fourth Amendment, to violate the Bill of Rights? The Congress did by their unlawful, unconstitutional acts, which, by the way, under Marbury versus Madison, negates all of those. But who's going to enforce it? The people? And then they call us seditionists if we say, no, you can't do that to us, like what they did to the Bundys or the Hammonds. So Congress, I hold Congress responsible for it, and we all know that the deep state is in there and that those people are compromised almost immediately. If Rand Paul is the good man that I think he is, or even Ron Paul. Well, Ron Paul's talked a lot about this, but people there, maybe even right now might not be a good time, maybe. But Gates, Jordan, all of those good guys, they should come out and actually lay it all out sometime and talk about this. You know, supposedly the difficulty is that, you know, something like, and I'm probably being conservative, 50% of the government could be arrested for the things that they've done to the American people and in violation of the oath of office and all that. And that would, if they actually did do that, first of all, who would do it, right? Well, I have my own answers for that. But if it could be done, it would shut down the government. Who would be upset about that? You know, let's do it. You know, Jefferson said, every man's liberty is in danger when the legislature is in session. And he's absolutely right, because those people, they think that their acts as a body there supersede Constitution, and that's not true. Everything they do is subject to the Constitution, but there's who's holding their feet to the fire? They're evil. I'm sorry, they just are. Wow, I got off on that. Okay, let's see what else we got. Q says 40%. 40%, thank you. So he's saying 40% of the government. All right, yeah, it could be. All right, I've already been on here for how long have we been going on here? Jeez. Like I say, I've got a lot of crazy things to do today. You're going to see some things come up here in the future. I'll just give you a little heads up. It's kind of on the spiritual side. I don't want to give out too much information on this, although anybody who has my Twitter knows kind of what I'm working on. We need to have some inspiration, some hope. And near-death experiences, etc., are important. But clinically, they're hard to prove. And, you know, even when good medical doctors and people like that have evidence of these things, they're usually not going to talk about it much. But I'm going to be working on a project with someone over the next few days. I told you about someone who had a member of their family didn't really intend to commit suicide, but it kind of ended up that way, and wants to make a presentation so that people who suffer the same in their families will have something to talk about, to see maybe things that will help them heal. So I'm going to be working on that later today and probably most of the weekend, as it turns out. I won't actually put that finished product on my channel. I want it to be on the person who has asked that this be done. And so what I'm going to do is I will make a video just introducing it, but then directing you to the link in the description box so that you'll go to their YouTube site. Okay, some really incredible things, and I have some other friends that have had similar experiences, and I might just expand this out to include people who have had real experiences, including myself. And I think that will be uplifting by and large. A lot of people see that the early Christian church, I realize there's some things in the scriptures that talk about conjuring up spirits. That's a whole nother thing. A lot of people say if you have any contact with angels or spirits or departed loved ones or whatever, that's evil, that's always the devil. No, it isn't. It's when you actually try to conjure them up that you have a problem. But there are under other circumstances where they do that, and it's perfectly permissible under divine law to do it, and with some parameters, obviously, because we're the ones being tested here. But these things do happen, and I want to talk about a little bit of that, and I hope that will be of interest. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have video footage of spirits floating around in a room, or somebody appearing in a window, or any of that gobbledygook. We're going to talk about emotions, about the love between the people that remain here and those who have gone on, and what those contacts feel like. And sometimes they are manifested in a physical way, and that's where we're going to go, and I hope you'll find that of interest. Okay, Roy, try 99% of the government. Yeah. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, Trump is worrying me right now. I love the man. I honestly do. To do what he's done, he didn't have to do what he's done, right? And I think he was an insider. It was like the tarot deck showed. They thought he was on his side and that they were going to promote him when he was really his father was part of the John Birch Society. Funded them. He is what I am certain he is what I think he is, and what all of us hope that he is. It's just that the strength of the evil side that's taking control of our institutions has to be destroyed. It has to be there. Sean on the Sargent report is echoing the same thing that I've said. I don't know if he said it first or I did. I've said it for years. I imagine he has too. We've reached a point where there is a gulf. There's a chasm between those who choose the evil and those who choose the good, and it's irreconcilable. This country will never be brought together the way it once was, or we thought it was. Now it's being totally divided, and that is never going to be brought back together again. It's physically and spiritually impossible. Chuck Schumer apparently was brought into the White House, by Trump, and given some type of information. We don't know what it was. I think several people have talked about this. And Schumer has been a little more docile lately. Oh, he still does a few things on the side, but apparently there's a real rift, or an apparent rift, between him and Nancy Pelosi. I can't verify that, but it would make sense to me that Trump would put a wedge there, and a pretty significant whatever he has on Schumer. All of these things, that like this new thing with Porter being that was the White House. He's an assistant of some sort to the chief of staff, Kelly. Porter's going out because apparently he's blackmailable because he beat up his former wives, And honestly, we don't know if that's true or not. These things will be leveled against anybody. Don't be surprised if it's leveled against somebody if they're politically active. It doesn't make it true. And of course, in the media, you're guilty until proven innocent, when it should be just the other way around. But at any rate, so the evil people in government will always, that's what Satanists, that's what sociopaths do. What they do, they accuse others of. And of course, we've seen that with the way that they've treated Trump over the last 18 months or so. Actually, probably a little longer than that. So I guess we'll probably end there. I'm sorry I didn't get into any other information, but I just wanted to get those few things off my chest today so I could go do these other things and not worry about, gee, I should kind of bring some information up to date here. Let me just see if there's anything really critical. UN and FEMA troops. The plans are in place. We are in a form of martial law right now. We have been since 9/11, but then Trump used some of that to also give his executive order to go after human traffickers, people that steal resources, things like that, which I think had to do somewhat with the Bundy situation turning around. I would hope that eventually the Hammonds are also released up in Oregon, and others that the government has shut down to protect the elites and to steal the people's resources and liberties. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that other than that Trump is going to have to use the military. I called it over a year ago now, that he would have to use the military to go after the intelligence community at the very least, because the justice system and the courts are so corrupted. And that's unfortunate. But I have historical and other documents that I've studied for years, and we have reached a point where there is no other way. There is no other way. Will he bring UN in? No, that would not be Trump's method. If anything, he would kick their butts out of here. The question is are they going to get to Trump and kill him? And we saw that the U.S. Secret Service, I put that out yesterday, was on high alert, and there are a lot of things going on there, and still are. They have got to take Trump out. If they can't do it politically, if they can't do it by some 25th Amendment thing or some idiotic thing from Mueller, who himself should be arrested and in jail at this point. Assassination is how they'll do it. And they're not going to hesitate to take out hundreds of people around him if that's what it takes. So we're at a very dangerous time. Very dangerous time. And I'll leave it there. What about the Sawman? Craig Sawyer is coming out with his program, his movie, his documentary very shortly. So, Craig is a great guy, as is Matt Bracken, and there are others. I'm very hard on the military, of course, you know that. The whole thing about the oath of office and what we've done around the world. I'm not saying, and somebody gave a good point the other day, not everybody in the federal agencies are bad guys either. No, they're not. But it's what you do with what you know. And unfortunately, in the federal agencies, there's too much that they can know. For instance, the cover-ups of Hillary's culpability and the going after the Bundys. That just showed so much about what this corrupt, deceitful, criminal federal law enforcement is all about. No, I don't lump Craig in there. There are a few good guys, but how do we tell those people out there who tell me that there are good people in there? How do we tell they're good people? They do what Craig is doing. You think that his bosses in the federal law enforcement agencies liked the fact that he was involved in this uncovering of pedophilia? No. They probably, if he was, he's only part-time, I understand now. But the point is He went and he did it. So what is the key? By their fruits you will know them. So if there are good people in the FBI and the CIA and the ATF and the DEA, which are all unconstitutional agencies, if there are good people there, we want to see some fruits. Okay? Yeah, is it going to put you in danger? I've been calling for this how long, to have whistleblowers come out? Is it going to put you in danger? Yeah. But your families are going to be eradicated if you keep going along with this. Don't you see the big picture? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've ranted long enough here. Thanks for coming. Sorry I was a little tongue-tied there at first. Sometimes as I say, my mind goes faster than my mouth, but that's probably better than the other way around. Have your mouth go faster before your brain gets in gear. So I guess if I have a fault, it's better to be that way. I want to thank you for coming today. I'm not sure when I'll be up again unless something really, really major happens. I doubt that you'll see me until early next week. I'm sorry I don't have a scheduled broadcast time. I guess that's the method that I've chosen, because I only have to talk when I feel it's necessary. I don't have a program that I have to do every day or at a certain particular time that I have to fill the airwaves with a bunch of noise and unmeaningful information, hopefully, just because I have a budget to pay for. I'm not attacking the people that do have that circumstance, because that's okay. Labor is worthy of his hire. But I'm just saying that gives me the opportunity to be a lot freer and to only come out when I feel that there is something that really needed to be said. And this thing with Bushwhack, I'm going to end on this. This thing with Bushwhack. President Bush is a criminal. The Bush family are a criminal cartel. No different than the Corleones. No different than the Italian mafia. No different than the Nazis. And apparently no different than the Democratic Party. No one should give George W. Bush the time of day. As far as I'm concerned, he's a mindless shill, and he's attacked a decent man trying to do the very best he can with the crap that people like Bush and Obama, the Bushes, the Clintons, and the Obamas have left behind. How dare him? I hope he ends up in a federal penitentiary somewhere. Okay. God bless you. God bless the constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution that is attempting that restoration. And God bless President Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. Out here until next time. And you know what's interesting as I'm closing down here? These live streams, if I hit the button right now, for some reason or other, you wouldn't get the ending that I just gave you. So I'm going to let it go for just a second here. A comment. I notice I'm really red. I have to deal with the light that I've got. Okay, guys. So no, that's not my real color. But I don't have the adjustments to do all the exposure and all that. People say, well, just change the exposure. Do this, do that. No, it's just not quite that good. All right. So we just have to deal with it. I just got attacked. My computer just got attacked just right now. Wow. I just got a notice. Well, I wonder what that is. Now, Jake Morphonius was talking about, of course, the program that can plant pedophile stuff, child porn on your computers. Yeah, I worry about that all the time. And I can prove, I'm a dedicated, I think anybody's checked into me knows, you know this, I'm a dedicated heterosexual with grown women, okay? I love grown women. Kids are kids, man, kids are kids. No, I like women. I like the, got my point, okay? No, all right. If anybody ever accuses me of that, whoo, I have the background. Maybe that's why God had me do it. to prove it, today's world, with the way things are, that no, Potter likes women. There's no doubt that he likes women. There's no other of that stuff on there. But yeah, my computer just got attacked. My my antivirus program just warned me that there was an attack that came in. I think it's working on trying to eradicate it now or whatever, identify it. So I'll go. Thanks for letting me shut it down that way. We'll see you next time.